But seems obviously that you will know what yoga is because you're doing yoga teacher training. But let's don't have any assumptions neither, and maybe clarify what is yoga, what does it mean, and what is not yoga, and take that out of the way now. So you can take notes. This is going to be related with the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, this wonderful book that is the system of yoga that I'm going to be lecturing more often about it. But let's just go to the root of the word yoga, right? And that comes from Sanskrit. Sanskrit is one of the dialects, one of the oldest of this planet, together with Aramis. Aramis was the original language writing that Jesus wrote his first manuscripts. Kind of lost now, but Sanskrit is coming from India, and again, that's the oldest. Sanskrit in itself is a divine coding, I would say, and we're going to just briefly touch in Sanskrit because we'll need to do just a training in Sanskrit to really know Sanskrit. But we'll briefly go to that. The thing with Sanskrit is that one word can have many meanings according to where you put it. So in the same way, the meaning of the word yoga comes from the yuk or yuk, U-G, and translates to yoke, which one of the translations can be to unite. Okay, so this is one thing that you want to write it down. It's actually one of the questions of your reading test. You will have 2 questions related with that, and I will give you all the questions and all the answers, so just maybe highlight on your notebook the questions, and that way you will have them. But that's going to be one of them. So we'll ask on the test, and your students will ask, what is yoga? What is yoga? So okay, so yoga, again, yoke is union. So yoga is union. It's also referred to that piece that unites the bull with the chariot. And yeah, it has a wood element that connect the animal with the chariot, so they can be together. That's also called yoke. It's also in your manual in one of the beginning chapters. Yoga can also be connection, unification, has different interpretations, kind of like being natural, for example. But let's just stick with that one translation, because like I said, it can have many. So okay, so yoga is union. So that means that the state of yoga is to become unified, right? So if something needs to be unified, it's because something is fragmented or separated or divided. So we are in a state of fragmentation, let's say, or separation, which we'll also study very soon, which is our 5 bodies, right? Like you can easily give an example. Sometimes, let's say you had a breakup, and then your heart is like, call him, and your mind's like, don't call him, and then you're like, just turn to Netflix, the body will, I don't know. So you get all fragmented, right? So the idea is to not be fragmented and be in a state of unification. Good. So that is the goal of yoga, to become unified. But unified with what then? So if we are separated, we want to become, again, connected or unified. And we we are going to call it the source. The source. Oh, look at that. Good.
Connect to the source, basically.
Connect to the source. The higher self. The divine, the universal creator. So one kind of like cheesy answer, and that I'm sure you heard before, and if someone says, okay, what's yoga? And then you will say, well, yoga is the union of your body, mind, soul with the super soul. So you can say something like that.
Right.
Yoga is the union of your inner self with the higher self.
Connecting your inner to
Your inner self with the higher self. That can be one quick, actually very good short explanation.
Yeah.
Right? And to go more into Vedanta, in Vedanta, the inner self we call Atman, or Jiva, which is individual soul, and the super soul we call Paramatman, or the super soul is deep. Now, we're going to be talking about God and Sanskrit a lot, but in normal yoga classes, we don't use a lot of the word God or a lot of Sanskrit because the students don't understand. And your idea is to transmit something to them. And if you, first of all, if you say, which let's just be very clear, yoga is the union with God. God, omnipresent, female and male, everlasting, everywhere. But we're not allowed to go and say, oh, we're going to unify with God. Which God? My God or your God?
Right.
Is Allah or is Buddha?
Right.
You know what I mean? Is Krishna or is Christ? Then you go into this mess. So we're going to call God as universal source, divine principle, the creator. Because when we say God, then you go in this religion field, which is always has, she knows, afflictions and war, literally, which I don't understand how in the name of the divine, oh well, I will kill you because my God is better and he told me to do so.
Right.
It doesn't, it's really, that is a man-made, basically wrong interpretation. I will say fanatic and
Egotistical.
I was going to say crazy in another word, but yeah.
It's a control factor.
Yeah. So we don't want to go in there, although that's exactly what we're doing.
Right.
But it really doesn't matter if it's, if you worship Jesus or Krishna or Buddha, because when you go, that's we call that ¿cómo se dice las amuletas?
Flat.
No.
Baggage.
No, when you cannot walk and you use.
Crutches.
Yeah. So we call that the crunches.
Crutches.
Crutches. Sorry. So in the beginning, you might need something to walk that
To hold
fast.
on to.
Yeah. Let's say you don't know how to you do prayers or anything and you need something to connect. I mean, if you go to a Buddhist temple, they have incredible uplifting meditations. The same with the Krishna tribe, the same if you go to gospel and you see this beautiful black sisters singing their heart out. I mean, you go, wow, right? And you will feel that angelic energy.
Yeah.
But that is in the beginning. And then forward, you really will perceive everything as one. And there's no more like someone this team, which is better than my team. It doesn't,
Right.
that dissipates. But in the beginning, it might be good, you know, something that push you. Okay, every Sunday I have the service. Every Wednesday and Sunday I have my service. I go there, I do my prayers, I do my mantras, and you know, I personally did that when I remember when I was like 10, 11. Once I came off the mountain to go to the high school, I was in this town that had one church, one gas station, 2 bars, and there were 2 streets, and that was the whole town. My friends, so they had the church, you know. So then I would go to church with all my friends, and then the priest will make pizzas, you know, and we'll do the rosaries, which was very similar to the Maldives. And so we did the rosary there. And meditation was there as well, you know. So in the beginning, yeah, we can use some accessory, but basically that is what is yoga. When you enter a state of unification with the source of all, when you merge with that energy, with the essence, it's like a communion, you know. And even though we can, again, very briefly say, yes, yoga is the union of body, mind, soul with the super soul. One of my teachers would say that is a little bit incorrect. So, you know, just letting you know as well. Because basically he would say that in order to enter a state of yoga, you actually need to negate the mind. It's a technique also from India called neti neti. So you will say, I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. I am definitely not my body. It's just a car, just a dress, it's just a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. What I am Atman, Paramatman. I'm pure soul.
Disattach yourself. from
Yeah.
things.
So it's actually, so you're not, in that interpretation, you can say you will not unify yourself with the mind.
Right.
You will, you see what I'm saying? I'm
Dissolve.
trying to give you the 2 aspects of the teaching behind. So you will unattach yourself of the incorrect beliefs that we have been implanted, like I am Victoria and I'm a female and this is my age or whatever, because deep down we are all pure, shining, eternal souls, you know? And most of the suffering comes for this illusion that we are this and that, and you know. So yoga then is understanding that we are here to basically remember that relationship that we have with the source. And it's not such a thing as becoming enlightened, neither. It's a question of remembering, because you are already enlightened and already full and complete. We just forgot. Because, you know, modern life, I mean, between the TV and the COVID and the pharma and the culture and the religion and this is that, this is not,
Wars.
and wars and has child, we get so much information that is basically incorrect unless you have also yogi parents and that bless you on your path. But if you didn't, right, like then well, you will have a teacher and then eventually a guru, and then will help you out and say, oh, actually you are, you know, eternal soul and full of light. And when we start embracing that reality, not just like speaking theorically from the mouth out, like I'm full of love, I'm full of light, I'm eternal, but actually putting that, how do we put that in our daily practice, right? In our daily life, then is when the yoga is really happening, right? And that is a long life path. So again, we only enter a state of unification when we are able to not be pulled by the incorrect illusion of our identity, or being pulled by the wild horses of the senses of the mind, and we are, dwelling on the past, dwelling on the future, and we are everywhere but present with our, Atman. That Atman basically is the mini soul of God inside your heart. According to the Vedas, that's God is residing inside your heart. It's almost like if you take a drop of the ocean and, is it still the ocean? You see? So all living beings have Atman inside themselves. That's why when you start having this awareness, you will see God in absolutely everything. I mean, I see God in an ant. I see God in the rose blossoming. I see God in the sunrise, in my cat. Beautiful teacher, by the way. But in everything, everything has this Atman. All living creatures have this Atman. And that makes us a family because we have the same creator father. So that is the evolution. That when you become not only unified with the source, but you become one with everything. And it takes time to get there. I mean, basically all we need to do is the sadhana. Like I say, that I took my time in the morning, because when you practice so much, that is the effect of it. You start purifying the body, purifying the mind, purifying the heart, purifying the body, purifying the mind, and that is the effect. You start having this yoga state where you are in union with everything. And in that place is pure happiness, is pure joy, is like ecstasy. Natural, of course. It's just like rainbows. You never suffer. That's one of the things that my teacher told me the first week of the training. He's like, you will never suffer again for love. You will never. And I was like, really? How do you do? And then we start breaking down this topics. I mean, think about it. If you our eternal soul. I mean, it's even worth it to be dwelling, crying, sad, depressed for things that are impermanent or they're going to pass. We have hundreds or even thousands of lives to get where we are now, and we have, many to go until we are full enlightened in samadhi state. So when we start chewing this concept, okay, I am eternal soul. God is within me. And that Atman, that principle of the divine, is never influenced by anything external. And you have the same consistent of God itself. Like God made you, Dios te hizo en su semejanza.
His image.
Yeah, God made you in His image, which you can also write this down. Is Sat, Chit, Ananda. So that is your true identity. Sat, Chit, C-H-I-T, Ananda. So Sat, pure knowledge. Chit, wisdom, eternal. Ananda, full of bliss. So that's who you are, and that's who God is. So Sat, Chit, Ananda. Full of love, full of knowledge, and never dies, eternal. So we and God are made of same. So yoga is that. Yoga is arriving there and having that understanding. When we are depressed, jealous, angry, we are in this up and downs, is because we are forgetting that we are not our emotions, that they're just like a layer, you know. So it's like I said, yoga is really for the mind, you know. It's just kind of like you need to filter the mind and start doing that netting. No, I'm not my anger, I'm not my laziness, I'm not, you know, my sadness. And it takes like a self-observance, like, wait, God is within me, I'm full and complete. Yeah. Now, yoga is not an sport. You know, people think that it's all about the body and you gotta do all this acrobatic asanas and even in India now, which is, you know, I think the Westerns kind of really mess up a little bit the culture of India because they have such a beautiful culture, you know. I live there, and sometimes, you know, the Westerns have this strong personality about imposing their ways and kind of contaminates a little bit, culturally speaking. But yeah, they are actually developed some sort of yoga competitions, which is of course ridiculous to any enlightened, half enlightened being, because you can never determine that. Because how are you going to measure how deep you are in yoga? You know what I mean? Like, you see someone doing all kinds of contortionist stuff, and they have competitions like Olympics.
In the Olympics?
Yeah, it's kind of some sort of competition. So you have someone completely contortionist, right? Making themselves like a knot, like a snake. And then you have a Buddhist monk that is 3 years inside a cave, naked in the snow. So who is more advanced? You see? So it's ridiculous. So people, again, get so fascinated about the body. It's something about the body, and this, you know, is a row of suffering. You know, and now I see females in South America, and I don't know, stupid culture. Now they're 15 and they gift the girl's breast. I was traveling, I don't know which country, through like airports, and I will never forget because I tend not to, you know, no judgment. Now all of a sudden I see this girl and she plants on her behind. It was so big that I thought she had 2 pillows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then you have the lips. So the people have an obsession about the body. Yeah, it's a role for suffering. Yeah. In the same way, you know, it's nice. Even myself, I'm lifting some weights now in the beach, together with the yoga practice. But the obsession about the body. Do you need 4 hours on the gym? Most likely no. And if you spend 4 hours on the gym every day, you probably are missing some knowledge in the mind, because there's no time so much to, you know, dedicate to the body, unless of course you are an athlete to Olympics, and that's a different story, right? And you will have a hardcore training. But yoga is not a sport. Yoga is not for the body. The only goal of the asanas is to be free of suffering, free of disease. No discomfort. So that way you can study and you can practice meditation. Yoga is not religious. Everyone from any religion can practice yoga. And like I said, I love Jesus. Jesus was a yogi. He disappeared in India for like 2 years. Of course, the Bible has like a hole in the history and no one knows where he was. But he was in India, Jesus. And then he came back, he became enlightened. He was already divinely touched by, you know, we call them avatars. Yeah? Every 1,000 years, one of them come down. This guy doesn't understand anything. Can you go there and tell that again? Okay. Same message. love your neighbor as yourself. Don't kill, love each other.
Exactly.
So get it!
So in our religion, the Jewish religion, since I was a little girl, and when we came to Israel, I'm sorry, I'm quickly gonna tell you this, guys. They put me in a very religious all-girls school, American-owned actually, and the rabbi and the rabbanit, they were telling me that we have to all unite, and when we all unite and we all pray, Mashiach will come.
Messias. That's
For us-
not my brother.
Exactly. For us, it's Mashiach. So as for everyone, it says Jesus and
It's
Messiah.
Messiah.
And so on and so forth. And then I said, okay, so I'm a little girl, I'm curious, what do you mean? And I'm asking all these questions. And there's like, once we unite and we pray, it goes, the vibration is so high, it will go up and we're all gonna unite and it's gonna be so much purity and love. And that's it, there's no anger, there's no this, and I was like, wow, it makes sense. So I come home, I'm like, we need love, we need purity, we need unity, and Jewish, Christian, Muslim, so separated. And I'm like, doesn't make sense. That's why religion was never for me.
I mean, again, I think we go through phases as we spiritually mature.
Right.
And if you don't know better, like I prefer to do rosaries at the priest's house than being left alone in my town and congregate. And we were doing a good thing, we were praying. And of course, that after I visit the Vatican, I really never enter a church again, unless maybe it's Christmas and I just go for 10 minutes, because it's very corrupt, extremely corrupt, and let's not even start with the pedophile stuff, So can you imagine that, the whole Vatican is covered in gold, walls, chandeliers, and then you have children dying one per second. So now, Jesus was never about that. So, again, you go through phases, but you gotta be very respectful and very careful about religion because, of course, if you're very religious, you might offend someone. But the truth is the truth, the truth is the truth. So you can worship Jesus without worshiping the institution of the church. And that will also be beautiful and raw. And anything can be like that. You can still be Jewish and do your Jewish practice without being orthodox and suppress or segregate or maybe, like that. But that is the reason that has a lot of that war happening everywhere. I mean, it's just ridiculous, there are just, it's really insanity. That's why we go back that yoga is for the mind. Yoga is for the mind, it's not for the body. It's to understand, who am I? What I'm doing here? What is my essence? And we are really covered of all this, incorrect information that is just being poured to us since we are a child, since we are a baby. And if you were not lucky enough to have a quest of thirst, like I really want to find out about what I'm here in this planet. You're not here to pay bills. Definitely. That's the detail, okay, gotta work, gotta have the rent or money or food, but everyone is here to evolve, basically. So that is a little bit about what is yoga. So just understand this very well, because when you practice yoga, most of the students are not. So they are, doing the yoga asanas, but they are thinking about the pedicure. They're thinking about, look how nice is her pants, and like this. And so it's such a distraction that they cannot enter that state of unification. When we apply the techniques, we listen to our breath. We use the energy locks. We bring the focus to one point, inside or outside. With Andre Lapa, we practice the whole time with eyes closed. After 2 hours, we are like, you're in another world, like you're just so, and then what happens? Then you enter a state of yoga. you start feeling, which I really wish for everyone here, glimpse of samadhi, glimpse of liberation. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, well, he explains that very well, has levels of it, and has levels where you are in state of union with God, and you can stay there without water, without food, without blink, for a long, long time. Even with, sometimes enlightened beings, they they pass away, and their body stays like intact, like a mummy. Or the other way around, we have records of Buddhist monks, they pass away and they evaporate. So has so many different levels of samadhi, but you can also feel the states of samadhi. And that's going to happen through the state of unification. So when you're not in the past, in the future, and you are here now, we'll study more about what is yoga, I guess, tomorrow, because I also want the other students to participate. But everything is displayed really on the Yoga Sutras. So if you didn't bought that book, I will recommend it to, because it's the kind of like the most important manuscript of yoga. And as a yoga teacher, you just want to have your own. The one that I recommend was interpretation of Swami Sat Chit Ananda as well, because it's easy to understand. Some are very complex, and another thing is like you need to have a teacher to read the Yoga Sutras. It's not a book that you just read, because you need to understand the meaning. They have secret meanings on the verses, and usually that's how we do it. We'll have a master that will kind of like break down verse by verse what Patanjali really trying to say. But it's everything in there. In this book is the manual for enlightenment. It's a step by step. It's like 4 chapters, takes you there. So again, it's very hard to do in practice. So just remember this, because you will need to put that into your practice. And of course, tell your students, yoga is not about the body postures. Really, we don't care so much about the body. What we care is to allow ourselves to really become awake and aware, right? Like, okay, this is real and this is unreal, right? My jealousy is, I'm creating a story in my mind, it's a movie. And most of the times we have these illusionary movies that we live, and we suffer reactions of it. Same thing with the emotions, we don't want to suppress anything. Of course, that's not healthy. But dwell in emotions, like someone did something to you 2 weeks ago and you still tasted it. Why? It's just you occupying the space on your energetic field for nothing, right? So that is hard work. That is not easy to accomplish. The asanas are a joke. And being acrobatic or not acrobatic, I mean, no one really cares. Unless you are going to Olympics or you're doing a Cirque du Soleil show, then maybe you want to perfect that. But again, all the asanas possible in the world is just to be here without any pain and suffering, just to be sitting anyway. So, if you can sit without pain, you're advanced yogi, that's great. It doesn't need to take so much, So again, yoga translates to unification, and we need to find the ways to detach of everything that is unreal, so we can unify ourselves with our true identity, which is the composition of God within us, just pure knowledge, pure kindness, and happiness, joy. And remember that you don't perish, you are eternal, So again, non-dwelling and things so much, because you have many lives, and it creates a different perspective on how you manage your life and relationships and everything. So, all right. Yes.
Well,
couldn't you be able to say that like the asanas, another purpose of it is to release stored trauma and stored energy and like not in that sense purify the body?
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah, we can say that. But when I say free of suffering, so that will go in there. Yeah. So yeah, the asanas are basically squeezing all the physical or emotional tension in a way, so then we can be content. Yeah, we'll study that on the Ashtanga Yoga path. But in order to practice meditation, you need to be content. Because if you are like looking for more, then you're not content and then you cannot be still. And in order to do meditation, you need to have stillness, serenity. So,
Just wanted to share because I was so happy that you recommended books by Satchitananda. And when she was little and her brother, we went to Yogaville.
it's amazing! In Virginia.
In Virginia, and it's just this phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, it's worth looking it up. It's this giant, like the whole building is like a lotus flower, and the main hall. There's this light. I don't remember if it's a light or the sun, natural light, but it comes down the central column, and then it like goes to each and around this whole hall. There's all because also talking about religion and how all really leads to the same. And you totally got that. So like around the whole hall, there's like alcove altars to every religion, every major religion in the world. And then and then there's this light beam that all kind of comes to the center.
Wow.
So it's this like visual,
You can visit the place.
experiential thing of how like all paths lead to the same. And then he had off to the side, there's a room that has like the animist religions and all the like ancient pagan and everything. And so that was somehow included. It wasn't in the main room, but it was there. It wasn't, it was definitely part of everything. So it's just beautiful.
Amazing. Yeah, that's in Virginia, so it's not that far. Yogaville.
Yogaville.
Yeah.
Such a funny name. But then
Can't
Oroville.
miss it.
Yeah.
So definitely is another part of the thing that we do as a yogis. We do parikram, which is visiting sacred